How did you cheat the system? So I was 11 years old, and at a water park with my family. I really wanted to go to Burger King that day, and my dad had said repeatedly no way, he didn't have the money for that. They had this system where when you arrive, you bought a bracelet for $4, which you could exchange for a tube to ride around on stuff. At the end of the day, you'd return the bracelet and they'd give you $1. It was around the middle of the day, and there were people both coming and going, and there was a really long line at the stand to get return bracelets. So I sold my bracelet to some guy at the back of the line for $3. He didn't have to wait, and I gave him $1 off, so all good. Then I took that $3 and went and bought back 3 bracelets from people waiting to return them. I gave them the same price they'd get at the booth, but they didn't have to wait. I took those 3 bracelets and sold them to other people at the back of the line for $3. Rinsed and repeated a bunch of times, spent about a half an hour hustling. Went back to my dad with $40 bucks and gave it to him, and explained how I got it. Asked if we could go to Burger King now. He was like, yeah, you win. Whoppers were on me that day. This is when your father realized how much he really did love you. I was paying out-of-state tuition for college in Texas. I looked up all the ways I could get in-state tuition, and there were 4 different ways. 1. Marry a Texan. 2. Own property in Texas for 1 year. 3. Hold a job in Texas for 1 year. 4. Own a business in Texas for 1 year. So naturally, I started a business. I registered my business with the state and filed taxes every quarter. I had 0 expenses and 0 income every quarter, so I paid nothing in taxes. 1 year later, I got on that in-state tuition. It cost me around $200 to register my business, and it saved me tens of thousands of dollars. Sat down and read my graduation requirements for university and went through all the classes that could cross across different fields. My university allowed for some classes to count twice if used for different degrees. In the public university system, I graduated in 4 years, with over 180 credit hours and 3 degrees, all for the same price as people who were taking the minimum amount of classes. I was informed by my old academic advisor that the university changed their rules after my graduation because of me. In high school, my Spanish teacher had a stack of 30 note cards, with each of our names written on them. She would pick from those cards almost every day to choose who would answer the next question. In the first week of school, I saw the cards on her desk, saw mine on top, quickly took it and threw it away. Never got called on the whole year. I sit in on college and graduate level courses without signing up or paying even the reduced audit fees. I simply show up on the first day of class early, wait for the teacher to be free for a minute, and ask if they mind if I sit in. 9 times out of 10 they'll let me sit in on lectures, 7 out of 10 on discussion groups. I do this simply because I enjoy learning, and even if teachers aren't supposed to let me sit in, they're in charge of enforcing that and enjoy teaching to engage students, so they're generally happy to have me. There are even schools which allow you to test for credits, so you can turn this free education into a quick and cheap degree when you've done enough of it. I bought my first HD TV in 2003 at a large box store. The guy tried to sell me the warranty, but I refused, citing I didn't have enough for the TV, $2,200, and the warranty, $450. He took the price of the TV down to $1,700 so I would buy the warranty. A day after the TV was delivered, I went back to the store and returned the warranty. I'd buy regular tomatoes instead of cherry tomatoes and cut them up really small. I do the opposite. I buy cherry tomatoes and stick them together to make one super tomato. I don't poop at home, so I can poop at work and be paid for taking a dump. On my first real job, I worked in an office. I ended up calculating how much money I made every minute after taxes and then kept track of how long my poops were. At the end of the summer, I had recorded almost $200 worth of poop. I was kicked out of high school and feeling bad that I didn't graduate. One day, I went to the community college my brother was attending and asked to take a placement test while I waited for him to finish registering for classes. On the test, I wrote that I had graduated from the high school I attended. After I was done with the test, I decided I'd try registering for classes with my results sheet that said I had a diploma. No problems registering, so I rolled with it. 2 years later, I graduated. Got a copy of my transcript, and it said I had the high school diploma from my high school, as well as the degree I had earned. I was admitted to the university of my choice, and 2 years after that, I had 2 degrees and a fake high school diploma. Not looking back. Sounds like the setup of a great sitcom where your 10 PhDs are called in question because you never graduated high school. Now you have to finish senior year if you have any hope of publishing your research to cure cancer. I have the school bell audio recorded on my phone and play it 2 minutes before class is supposed to end. Yes, it has worked. When I was still at school, me and some friends, would often pretend to pack our things 5 minutes before the lesson ended. Sometimes, the spark ignited and the rest of the class would, unconsciously, pack their things too, thus forcing the teacher to end the lesson out of social pressure. Or maybe it convinced him that he just didn't notice the bell. Or whatever. 5 minutes more break, yay! I still have my student ID which did not have a date on it, and the picture is incredibly dark. I still get discounts on occasion using my student ID and still have my email which I use for a ton of free software. Do standardized tests count as systems? In elementary school we had to take one that was a week long. You would get one booklet, say 50 pages. We're told to do pages 1 to 10, hand it in. Next day you get it back. Do pages 11 to 20, hand it in, get it back the third day. Do pages 21 to 30, etc. Well, obviously I just looked ahead to the next day's pages and looked up stuff I didn't understand. It's like they were begging you to cheat. I convinced my high school system I was emancipated when I was 15 with no supporting paperwork. I got to know the secretary and asked once what I needed on their end because I was getting emancipated. I would check in every week or so, say hi, and just try and be nice. After about 3 months I walked in very excited, explaining how I was getting my own place and had a job. She filed my paperwork immediately, and from that point on I controlled my supervision in high school. I wrote my own notes, had my own phone number as the contact info, and could sign off on anything that required a parent's signature. I went through the rest of school like this and my family never found out. And yes, I graduated. In work we have a clocking in out system which pays you an extra 15 minutes wage if you stay for 7 minutes. For example, shift ends at 8 p.m. If I stay clocked in until 8:07, I get paid an extra 15 minutes. Now, I make sure to turn up to work at least 7 minutes early to clock in, and make sure I use the toilet or something at the end of my shift so I clock out a little later. I typically get paid an extra 30 minutes for pretty much no time at all. I've been doing this for about a year, and it's earned me an extra 700 to 800 pounds on my yearly wage. A friend of mine was telling me that he works somewhere with a clocking in system. If you were 1 minute late, they'd dock 15 minutes wages. So if he happened to be late, he'd purposely sit in his car right outside the manager's window listening to some tunes for another 10 minutes. Then walk in and clock in. If he was going to lose 15 minutes wages, then no way he was going to work any of them. The cafe in my office building sells soup. 12 ounces, $1.39, 16 ounces, $2.79. The lady at the register always thinks I'm weird for buying 2 smalls. They also have rewards. But 9 get your 10th free, and I get double punches for my 2 soups. This ice cream chain and used to have this ice cream card where you deposited money to a chip card, and if you paid with it you'd get a discount. Turned out that the amount of money on the card was just some variable in its memory, and no particular security around it. A few lines of code and some instructions, and the card would always reset back to $10 automatically. Free ice cream ahoy. It wasn't intentional, but I got a free $60 bus ride last year. I accidentally booked my trip for the wrong day and didn't realize until I was already in line, waiting for my bus, a 12-hour ride that crossed an international border. The driver told me that the bus I had bought was scheduled to leave tomorrow and that I couldn't get on this one. I was upset since I had already taken a 2-hour bus ride to get to this bus station and it was about 1 a.m. He felt bad and since there was one extra seat on the bus, let me take it. The next day, after I'd arrived, I got an email saying that, due to snow, ice, bad road conditions, my bus was cancelled. You had the choice to either reschedule or get a refund. I would have done nothing, but it even said that if you didn't reschedule within 72 hours or so, they would just issue a refund. Boom. Free trip. Earphones always eventually break on me, so when I buy new ones I get the extended warranty. 10 months later, when one ear invariably stops working, I go back and, using the extended warranty, get another pair for free. Except then I buy an extended warranty for the second pair for £3.99 or whatever. 10 months later, replace the replacement pair and buy another warranty, etc., etc., etc. Now I'm regularly getting a new pair of £150 earphones for all of £4 a year. Not something I do anymore, but something I used to do. I worked at a takeaway restaurant. One of the few perks for the employees was that if you worked an opening or closing shift, you received a free lunch and drink from the menu. Because of my schedule, I used to get quite a few of these shifts. At the time, there was also a promotion going on with Coca-Cola. Basically, whenever you bought a bottle, you could use the code on the label to earn points on the Coca-Cola website. You can probably see where this is going now. Basically, I was able to drink several bottles of Coke each week, input the codes, and then earn a ton of points, all without paying a cent. Over the course of just a few months, I received enough points for a PS3 game and an iTunes card. Unfortunately, there was an incident, and suddenly employees weren't allowed free lunches anymore. But it was a nice bonus while it lasted. Good for my wallet, not so good for my teeth. Back at the fast food place I worked for in high school, we would get half off everything including gift cards. I could buy a $20 card for $10 and then use that $20 card to buy more half-off food, effectively turning $10 into $40. Unfortunately, that didn't last too long. I own a motorcycle but don't have a garage, so during winter months I take my motorcycle to the pawn shop and take $100 loan on it. They store it and keep it garaged, and I pay them $10 a month to keep renewing my loan and keeping the motorcycle there. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.